Good point. All right. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay. Rachel, you now have the superpowers. You now can silence people. You can click the mute all button if you need to. And meanwhile, I'll shut up and let you run your meeting.
Great. Now leave it to me to screw it all up. Thanks, David. I appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. President, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters. I have the honored guest of being your Toastmaster this evening. So my role is to ensure that we stay on time. So with that, our meeting is broken up into 3 parts. First, we have our formal speeches, our table topics, and then our evaluations. And in order to have a successful meeting, I have several friends on here who will be helping me run this meeting this evening. So if we could get everyone just to explain a little bit about their role, and let's keep it short since we're already a little behind this evening. So if we want to start with our counter, David, if you want to let us know what you'll be doing this evening for us.
I'll be writing people's names down and then counting the time you say ahs or ums or other filler words or double clutches, things like that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Our timer this evening is Elaine Nieberding. Elaine?
Hey there, folks. I will be watching my handy dandy iPhone here for timing of speeches. Our 3 speeches this evening have green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6 minutes, and red at 7 minutes, with the final cutoff being 30 seconds after that. Our table topics, green is at 1 minute, yellow is at 1:30, red is at 2 with final cutoff at 2:30. Evaluations are green at 2 minutes, yellow at 2:30, and finish up by 3. I'll be giving a report at the end of each section.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Elaine. If we could have our grammarian this evening.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, as grammarian, I will be observing, I should say listening, for colorful uses of phrases and words and all that good stuff, and also making note of incorrect usage of things, words, phrases, etc. No double starts, that's the outcomer, sorry. Our word of the day, since the theme is I Love Lucy, National I Love Lucy Day, word of the day is ew. For those of you that know Lucy, you know what I'm talking about. It is a noun, gross, something you did not want to see, hear, feel, taste, or smell. A sentence being, ew, I just stepped in a pile of dog poop. Madam Toastmaster.
That's hilarious, as I have my dog sitting right next to me this evening, so you might hear him bark throughout the night. Our watcher this evening will be Angela Smucker. Angela, if you let us know what you're doing this evening.
The watcher will be Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy Dent.
Sorry about that, Jimmy.
Don't think Jimmy's come back yet, has he? No, not quite. He's probably beating his laptop to death with a stick.
All right. I can take it along with Chatminder if we don't.
Okay.
Everything's filled. Does everybody have something?
Yes.
All right.
All right, Deborah, if you'd let us know what you will be doing watching us.
Well, as I am watching all of you, I'm watching for body language, just presentation skills overall, and how you fill up the screen. And Glennica already adjusted, so she's no longer like this, like the guy in Tool Time. So it's nice to, everybody so far, it's just starting out absolutely great. And Jimmy Dent is trying to come back on, so he may end up taking that. The other thing that I'm taking care of is the chat monitor. So I'll just be in there with everyone else, keeping an eye on conversations and any additional links and things like that that need to go in.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Jimmy, have you joined us back?
I'm back. I had to reboot.
Hope everything is okay. Do you think you'll still be able to fill in this evening as watcher?
Yeah, I can watch. I just can't share my screen. I think I'm getting a conflict there.
Okay, perfect. And our vote counter this evening will be Andy. Andy, can you let us know what you'll be doing?
I'll be counting the votes as it comes in and reporting back at the end of the meeting as where we are, and put that down in the chat.
Wonderful. So thank you everybody for your help this evening. I really appreciate that. I sort of took the role on last minute. So thank you for everybody, especially Lois, for kind of getting all the roles filled this evening. So just a reminder to all of our speakers to please pin your timer's video on your device so that you can see them this evening. So without further ado, we will get started with our first speaker. Our first speaker this evening is Ben Ratje, who is an ACB. He is doing a speech from the Motivational Strategies Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, Evaluation and Feedback Second Speech. His title is Beyond Breakfast, 3 Ideas for a Better Morning. Beyond Breakfast, 3 Ideas for a Better Morning, Ben Ratje.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Everybody wait 1 second. I'm sharing. Can everybody see my screen? Yeah, it's first time I'm sharing. Sorry about that. Great. Okay, super. Very good. Oops. So everyone, quick question. Who in here has a great morning routine? Quick show of hands one time. Thank you. Okay. Who does not have a great morning routine? Please raise your hand. Thanks. I see Rachel there, Graham, so-so. Okay. Who would like to improve their morning routine a little bit more? Quick show of hands about that. I see several hands up. Fantastic. So today, everybody, I'm going to talk about Beyond Breakfast, 3 ideas for a better morning. Okay. So let's get straight into it. My philosophy is very, very simple. I believe that if you win the morning, you win the day. Right? A lot of my friends, they always ask me, how come I'm so passionate from the early hours, basically? And I just want to share with you a couple of ideas that have worked for me over the years. Yeah, the most important thing, while I go through this with you, yeah, just keep in mind that I'm going to talk about several things, and just remember that doing really one thing is better than thinking about 10 things, you know, and in the end doing nothing about it. Who has been there before? You want to start 10 new habits, stressed yourself? Yeah, anybody? Right, I have unfortunately done this several times in my life, and we all know it doesn't work. So just pick one thing that you like from the list here, yeah, and just run with it. The first area I want to talk about are healthy things. You know, a couple of things that I do. First of all, I drink about 1 liter of water in the morning. Now, for some of my global friends here, 1 liter is 33 ounces. I had to look that up. Yeah, but that really refreshes you. It gets you a great start in the day. So drink 1 liter of water. Another thing I do on and off, it depends on the day, but that has really helped me a lot, is meditate. But I think I talked about it in a past speech, but I think meditation really centers you. It focuses you. How many of you have meditated before? Just a quick show of hands. Yeah. And who has never meditated before? Just also quick show of hands. Okay, a couple of you. I think I mentioned it before. If I had to go back, I tried so many different meditation programs, apps. I've done it at workshops. But the one that really stuck with me is this one, Natural Stress Relief. So if I could go back and if you've never done it, I would, you know, just go online, you can type it in, you can find this program. It's overall very inexpensive, but that was a great one. Yeah, that I would really recommend. This one is different from other meditation. It makes you feel really, really refreshed. And another thing that you can do that I also do on and off is jumping jacks. You know, in the morning you get up and you get the energy going. Try it with me one time, you know, while you're sitting. Just try a jumping jack for fun. Yeah, but it really gets the energy flowing in the morning. You know, it's really not bad for your body, like some of more higher intensity workouts, and just doing 10 or 20 of those, it really gets you in a good state from the start. Yeah, so consider doing more healthy things that you can add to your morning routine. The second area that works really well for you that I do pretty much every day is journaling. Right? Journaling is such a fantastic thing if you do it. I've done it for a very long time. And every morning when I sit down and I journal things out, like my goals or achievements that I had from the day before, where I try to focus on the smallest achievements that I've had, it really focuses my mind. It puts me in a positive state. Yeah, so that's what I would recommend as well. There was an article from the Huffington Post a little bit of a while ago, and they wrote about 10 surprising benefits of journaling. And I just picked out 5 of them. If you want to read all the 10, I can share the link of the article in our comment box. Yeah, but here are a couple that I really liked. Right, first one was number 2 on their list is evoking mindfulness. Right, so journaling really focuses you, which makes it fantastic. Right, number 3, it really helps you achieve your goals as well. And when I look back at my life also, the periods I think when I did journaling in a proper way, that was when my life went really well. I achieved my goals, I moved forward. But when I don't do journaling, well, it depends, it's on and off. So journaling really helped me with that. Also, another tip that I talk about is strengthen your self-discipline. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not the most self-disciplined guy, but journaling really keeps me focused, keeps me on track for my goals. Yeah, anybody here also not that self-disciplined? Just curious. I think I'm not the only one. I mean, some people are amazing at it, but for me, it's always been a challenge. Right, number 7, it helps you improve your communication skills, actually, because you have to bring things down on paper that bother you sometimes also. And number 10 from their list that I liked is self-confidence. That's of course another added benefit of journaling as well. Area number 3, then this is the last one from my side for today. And this was something that took me a while to learn. Yeah, but it's nurture your inner child, starting in the morning. So now I think when you see the lists and the tips before, do healthy things, do the journaling. To most people's minds, yeah, this sounds all really good. But for many of you and myself included, and especially to our mind, it sounds a little bit like work, like I have to do something that I have to push myself to do. So about a year ago or so, I learned this idea that you want to nurture your inner child from the morning. So that's what I started doing, and the results have just been great. So my tip for you would be that you wake up about 15 to 30 minutes earlier in the morning, which also means you should go to bed 15 or 30 minutes earlier, which is good for your health as well. And what do you do with those 15 to 30 minutes? Well, whatever you like. For some people like myself, it might be you watch a little bit of your favorite drama or one of your favorite movies, a part of it, right? If you've got Netflix, that's fantastic for that, of course, right? For some of you, it might be playing a game in the morning for 15 minutes. For some of you, it might be drawing a painting, whatever really nurtures your inner child. And this idea has really helped me do all these other things, with these. Because my philosophy is that, okay, I do the little more difficult thing first, but then I nurture my inner child right after. So I get my reward right away. I get my cake. I can eat it immediately in the morning, basically. Good. So keep those 3 things in mind: your health, journaling, and your inner child. And I really wish that you can upgrade your morning routine to an even better standard. Yeah, back to you, Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you so much. And I really liked the win of the morning, win the day. That's going to be on my board at work. I have a board that I keep sayings, and people always walk by. So that's going on my board. Win the morning, win the day. So thank you for that speech, Ben. Our next speaker, let me get...
sorry to ask, have I stopped sharing?
Not yet.
No, right?
So I have requests.
Very sorry, everybody. First time.
That's okay.
Up here. Okay. Sorry about that. Gotcha. There. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Great.
Done.
Our next speaker this evening is Graham Cairns, DTM. He is doing a speech from Competent Communication, speech number 8, Get Comfortable with Visual Aids. Graham is presenting a speech that he has given before, although not in this club. In fact, he's doing all of his speeches from one of his CC manuals again, but he's not being lazy. Instead, Graham is taking the heart of the lesson of level 1 of Pathways, where he is asked to give a speech and then give the same speech using the specific advice given by the evaluator. In redoing our entire CC manual over the next few months, let's see, for some reason, over the next few months, in this case, the evaluator said he should relate the material in his speech more directly to the visual supported material. So that is what he is aiming to do this evening. Graham Cairns, his title is Cruise Ships, Past, Present, and Future. Cruise Ships, Past, Present, and Future, Graham Cairns.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as many of you may know, one of my side gigs is that I deliver lectures on cruise ships sailing around the South Pacific. Now, I don't get paid to do this, but my wife and I do get to travel for free, which is, I have to tell you, a really sweet gig. But people often ask, what do you lecture on? Well, this is a shortened version of one of my lectures called Cruise Ships, Past, Present, and Future. Ocean and river cruising is one of the fastest growing tourism sectors in the world. And yet the idea of ships being used for what we would call leisure travel or cruising was actually only introduced in 1844 by the Peninsula and Oriental Steam Navigation Company, later known, of course, as P&O. Ships had long carried passengers, but it was in 1844 that P&O started carrying passengers with a specific leisure destination in mind. Stops in Gibraltar, and then Malta, and then Athens, and then back home again. Because of this, the year 1844 is considered the beginning of a new industry. But it's a German ship which is credited as being the start of a new industry. This is the Victoria the Victoria Louise. Now, it's an interesting ship because, I'm sorry, I've just had a minor stuff up with, I do love it when technology fails on you. Yes, so the Victoria Louise is the first ship, as I say, that's considered to be a cruise line. She was completed in 1900. The cruiser set the bar for later ocean liners and cruise ships in carrying passengers to their destinations, but she ran aground in 1906. Her design, however, was one that hadn't been seen before in the shipping or cruising industry. So, what she had were classic lines. These looked like the first-class yachts with the all-white exterior and 120 first-class cabins for their passengers, along with a few amenities to make the journey, well, a somewhat more pleasurable one. So that was the first of the ships. Now, can I stop sharing? Yes, I can. I can bring it back to me, which is where I want to be. We talk about cruise ships, and we use the term cruise ship and ocean liner interchangeably. But they're not interchangeable. Let's take a look at one of the most famous ocean liners of all time. And that, of course, is the Titanic. Now, the Titanic had a lot of passengers on board, but the even bigger majority of those who died on her maiden voyage were second or third class passengers. The third class passengers, in fact, while they were passengers, they were actually known as steerage. They were virtually cargo. The Titanic was in many ways both fish and fowl. She carried thousands of immigrants searching for a new life in the United States, but she also catered to some of the wealthiest people in the most astounding luxury. And that's an interesting point because transportation was not her only role. She was also used for cargo. And while transportation was the main objective, liners had started to receive some pretty stiff competition from cruise ships, which offered greater amenities and more pleasurable travel for those who wanted to explore new places before returning to their lives at home. So in order to compete, they added amenities like fine dining and luxury services and state-of-the-art staterooms. In fact, the Titanic had started to spread those amenities to all. There were cooks, for example, for the steerage passengers. That was the first time that had ever happened. So, you know, those films that you see where they've got their own cooks downstairs cooking up mulligan stew and all, no, it didn't actually happen. But liners like the Titanic were based on carrying the greatest number of passengers through all routes and all weathers, which stopped passengers from getting up and enjoying the balmy atmosphere of tropical climates, because quite often they didn't go there. Now, over time, ocean liners and cruise ships have seen a sort of blurring of once glaring differences, but there are some differences which still remain. A good way to show some of the differences is to take a look at this series of stamps out of Gibraltar. You'll notice on here the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth. Now, they're obviously liners. They're built for speed and to carve through all seas. They're sleek and they're streamlined, and they use far more glass and steel far more steel at least, than cruise liners, which tend to have a lot of aluminium and glass. And they're more boxy, like the Oceana seen here in the bottom left. Interestingly, the fourth ship is the Oriana, launched in 1995, designed to operate on world voyages rather than being restricted just to the Mediterranean or the Caribbean, which is why she embodies those classic lines and ambience of traditional ocean liners, but is in fact a cruise liner. So let's move on to the next generation of ships, which fall largely into one of two categories. They're either mega ships or they're niche. One strategy are the mega ships like the Allure of the Seas, which you can see here, or at least you would be able to see here if I could get my screen share to work. That's the button here. Don't you love technology when it... No, you don't want that. You want this one. That's the Allure of the Seas. So let me tell you about the Allure of the Seas. It's an interesting vessel, I have to tell you, and it is quite large. Now, the largest that I've ever sailed on is the Ovation of the Seas. That's called a Quantum class. It's far and away the biggest ship I've ever been on, 4,200 passengers. But the biggest ones are the Oasis class ships like this, 5,500 passengers, 360 meters long. Now, just imagine the size of that if you can. It's compared here to the Legend of the Seas, which was the largest ship which could sail out of my home port, Brisbane. It could fit the terminal in Brisbane, whereas the Allure of the Seas or any of the ships simply couldn't fit. So those are the big ships, and the biggest ships are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, 3,500 passengers plus 1,500 crew, that's talking 6,000 people. I've lived in smaller towns than that. So let's look at some of the alternatives. One of them is this. This is the Windsurf. It's a high-tech cruising ship that's now taking passengers on specialty cruises around the world. We spotted her in the Caribbean off the Costa del Sol, which is where I took this photo. I've even heard her sailing down to Australia. She's got triangular self-furling sails, assisting diesel engines, carries just 310 passengers compared to 3,500 on the big ships, and is designed to minimize the environmental footprint of sailing. Another is the Scenic Eclipse. It's taking its first passengers this year. Interesting design, as you can see. Only 114 suites, each with floor-to-ceiling walls, separate balconies. The idea is that she is going to be environmentally friendly. Well, as environmentally friendly as you can be with a ship that's got 2 helicopters and a submarine on board. So those are just some of the new types of ships that are coming up. How will the industry transition itself into new technologies? Well, I don't know, to be quite honest. All I do know is that I want to be there as part of it, and if I can keep sailing around for free, I intend to. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that, Graham. I've never been on a ship. It scares me to death to be stuck on something that I can't get out of. I have control issues with that. So maybe, though, if I could go for free, maybe that might change my mentality, but let's see. But thank you so much for that information. I appreciate it. Our third speaker this evening is David F. Carr, DTM. Let me pull up his... And he is doing a speech this evening from Dynamic Leadership Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, Evaluation, and Feedback. This is his second speech. David recently joined the enterprise software support company Remini Street as editorial director. This is the second take on a presentation he gave at Online Presenters a few weeks ago and subsequently refined based on his evaluation. At the time of his earlier speech, he was preparing to brief new hires in the marketing organization about editing initiatives. David will be turning off his webcam to simulate a GoToMeeting session with slides but no video. His speech is titled, Introducing the Editorial Team. Introducing the editorial team, David F. Carr.
Just a moment.
Right. I was going to say, your mic is gone as well, David.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's try that again. It's great to be with you guys today. I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I imagine you are all sitting around a conference room table right now. You're all meeting face to face, and I'm on the other side of the country. I will be out in a few weeks. I come out to visit headquarters about once a month. But we want to take this opportunity to introduce the different functions within corporate marketing. And I'm here representing our editorial programs. So just to give you a baseline, if you do run into me in the halls when I'm visiting, that's more or less what I look like. That's a little bit photoshopped. The background's photoshopped, but the foreground is more or less me. I'm the editorial director. I characterize myself as the lead storyteller for Rimini Street. So I'm producing pieces of writing to help tell our story, and then I'm editing work that's coming from all sorts of places within the organization, sometimes from freelance writers who we bring in to help out. But I'm trying to make sure that we're telling a consistent story, a positive story, and advancing the cause of the organization. I am actually relatively new as being part of a marketing organization. I was a technology journalist for a number of years at Information Week, Baseline Magazine, and Internet World. And that goes back to the 1990s when the web was young. I'm the author of a book called Social Collaboration for Dummies, which means that I'm supposed to be pretty good at this collaboration thing. Though I will tell you that collaboration at a distance turns out to be challenging for the best of us, and it's just communicating long distance can be a challenge. I'm going to do the best I can today. Now, I'm the only real staff person within the organization, but I just want to show you that we have been building up a virtual team of freelance writers. Some of these are journalists or former journalists who I've worked with for a number of years. John Barnes, who you see on the left, is actually a pretty well-known science writer and science fiction writer. He's written a couple of books with Buzz Aldrin, and we have him working on a few projects for us. Ellis Booker and Kristen Burnham have both been former colleagues of mine from the journalism world. Kevin Casey as well, although I didn't work with him as closely. And Mary Carlton is coming more from the copywriting world. So all different ways of telling our story. And we do have some agency resources as well that we're starting to onboard and bring into the picture. But the main thing I want to spend some time on is understanding the themes that we've been developing. So I think of these themes as stories that we're telling in many different ways, in many different formats, but we're trying to keep them consistent and frame the story in a way that these things can all sort of dovetail off of each other. And one of them is just about the cost and the value of IT support, particularly for enterprise resource planning systems. And our message is that you're paying too much. You're getting too little if you're just taking the standard contract that you get from an Oracle or an SAP. So this is a cost argument, but we're trying to show that we can save people money. And then I think of support for success as being more the quality side of that, is telling the story of the really great people that we have in the organization, the depth of experience we can bring to bear, the kind of troubleshooting when something goes wrong with something like being able to issue payroll or close the books at the end of the quarter. You want top-notch people who are at your call, who are going to answer their phone. And we don't want to put you through a series of call center people who are going to take your information again and again before you talk with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. So that's a huge message for us, and one that we're trying to flesh out to get away from just the cost store. We don't want to just be cheap. We want to be good. The cloud is a huge theme in all of information technology. The idea that you can get services, you can get software over the internet just by subscription, but we want to emphasize that people need to do this the right way. And the right way to us is to take advantage of cloud technologies that give you more freedom, as opposed to cloud technologies that actually lock you in even deeper to the vendor, because now they not only supply your software, they control your data. They really have you eating out of your hand if you don't watch out. So we want to talk about tactics for maintaining freedom and also risk, because I think the common perception that people have is that stepping away from the comforting support of Oracle or SAP means taking on more risk. We want to tell them that staying the course is actually riskier than going with Rimini Street and freeing up resources, freeing up money, having somebody who is definitely on your side. And then CIO as change agent, I think, is a broader general theme about leadership and strategies. So we can tell all sorts of thought leadership stories here about people who have taken the jump to taking advantage of what we offer and realize the value of it. And I think of the fiscally responsible or the budget-sensitive CIO as our target audience there. And then we have some other things that are more product-specific, talking about how we address Oracle, SAP, and Salesforce is a new one, showing how that we are relevant in this new world of cloud software as well, and can solve problems better for you than you could get by just relying on Salesforce resources alone. So those are some of the major themes. We also have a system we've developed for trying to track things from just being an idea that we might or might not pursue to having an abstract or an outline, and then on through reviews and approvals. And reviews and approvals are extra fun around here because we get to go through several layers of lawyers before we can get anything published. But occasionally we do actually get something published, which you'll see way over to the right. So I'm presenting this mostly so you understand what we offer, and that as we go along, as you have suggestions, you know that I'm somebody you can talk to about the stories we should be telling. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, David, for your presentation this evening. I have no idea about editorial anything. I just write it, and as an auditor, most people don't like what I write, so that's just the way the cookie crumbles for me. So, Madam Timer, how did everybody do on their time this evening?
Speaker number 1, Ben, came in at 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Graham, our second speaker, came in at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. And David Carr, the third, came in at 7 minutes, 24 seconds. It appears 2 are qualified.
Yes. We have 2 that are qualified this evening. That would be Ben and David. So if you could send your votes to Andy Byrne this evening on who you will be voting for. The next part of our meeting is always my favorite part, and that is when we have the opportunity to prepare a 1-minute speech on the fly. So please welcome our table topics master, Sunny Fridge. Sunny?
Thank you very much, Madam Madam Toastmaster of the day. And as I get ready, I want to ask you, how many of you really love Lucy, like I do? Okay. I just wanted to briefly say that today I am going to be asking questions related to I Love Lucy, which, as some of you may know, it made its debut on October 15th, this day, back in 1951. A piece of trivia, the show was almost named I Love Lopez because the Ricardos were at first named Lucy and Larry Lopez. So I think that was really interesting. Somehow I love Lucy a lot better. See. Okay. Can you see the screen, by the way? Really quickly. Okay, if you can't see the screen, then I'll just go straight to my questions. I thought you could see the screen. So in this table topics, I am going to be relating questions to you from I Love Lucy. And I just did want to show you a real quick clip. I'll only show 3.
Remember that name. Might have had a meaty match. Here she comes.
You gotta love Lucy. So today I want to do table topics with some of the famous quotes that she actually said. So Lucy said, "I'm happy that I've brought laughter because I've been shown by many the value of it in so many lives, in so many ways." What makes you laugh? Joanne, I believe we have guest Joanne Gleesy. What makes you laugh?
Take your screen share down, Sonny.
Okay.
I don't think we have a Joanne, do we?
Gleesy?
Oh, Glenda.
Glenda.
I'm trying to unshare. All righty, let's see if I can't get this down. It's the way my screen is formatted today. Let's see if I can change this. All righty. All righty, I'm still looking for stop share.
There you go.
Sonny, I believe you're muted.
Linda, what makes you laugh?
Still no sound, Glenda.
Okay, there must not be a Glenda here. Okay, well, I believe just about everyone has a role. Deborah, Michigan, would you like to answer that question? What makes you laugh?
What a wonderful question. Thank you. The best humor I start out with every day is when I see myself in the mirror in the morning, to be honest. And I take one look there, and I know that my day is going to be very funny. honest to God. I mean, I'm a mess. But overall, I was a men's barber for over 30 years, and I think back of my team and the stories and all of the stuff that came through that barber salon, which we had both men and women that came in, and it became a family salon, plus the kids. And I just think of the craziness of the many years that went through my salon, and I have a giggle. I can have a giggle every second if I want to. It's absolutely crazy. So that's what brings my happiness, my fun every day. Right off the bat, when I look at myself and go, oh my God, here we go again, to just the giggle about the moment of any moment that came from that barbershop. I've been blessed. So thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. Next question. Lucy said, one of the things I learned the hard way was that it doesn't pay to get discouraged. Keeping busy and making optimism a way of life can restore your faith in yourself. David Barrett, do you agree with that question about keeping busy and making optimism a way of life to restore faith in yourself? David Barrett.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do believe that wholeheartedly. It is constantly necessary to bring myself back on point, going in the direction I need to go in. I constantly need to reframe my experience, perception, and interaction with the world. I've had lots of opportunities to mess it up, and those messing it up has taught me to withhold comments so quickly, because sometimes I can say things that are not kind, and I like to be nice. I really like to be nice to everyone. That guides me too. Redirecting, like an airplane's going somewhere, but most of the time it's not, and it has to continually redirect. I have to keep doing that. And just the desire to help people. That's what guides me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David Barrett, on optimism. And my last question, table topics question. Lucy said, the secret of staying young is to live honestly, eat slowly, and lie about your age. Angela Smucker, what's the secret to staying young? What's your secret to staying young?
What's my secret? Okay, what's my secret? Well, my secret has to do with your first question about what makes me laugh. And so I try to laugh every day, especially the things that make me laugh the most, and so help me try to stay young the best, are usually British humor, especially some particular television programs like Come Fly With Me and the IT Crowd. Some really dry British humor makes me just laugh hysterically. And so if I need a laugh, that's what I'll do. I will turn on YouTube and try to find one of those programs, and I've seen them 5 times. They still make me laugh. And so you have to watch those, especially the IT Crowd and Come Fly With Me. They're hysterical. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
And thank you, Angela, for your secret to staying young and laughing. So before I end it, I just wanted to say, Jim said that he joined 2 weeks after Lucy died. He joined Toastmasters. Lucy would have been about 107 this year. And I also wanted to say that her son, her TV son, one of the little Rickies, actually lives here in Mississippi and heads up Ballet Magnificat right here in the Magnolia State. So I think that's pretty cool. I've seen him once or twice around town. Wow. So now, so now I'd like to recap that Deborah answered the question, what makes you laugh? David Barrett answered, how can people make optimism a way of life? And Angela talked about her secret to staying young. Madam Timer, did everybody meet their time limit?
Yes, Sonny, everyone did. Deborah was at 1 minute 3 seconds. David was at 1 minute 8 seconds. And Angela was at 1 minute 4 seconds. All qualify for voting.
All right. So I don't have a reason to say, ew. But I have to tell you, I do love Lucy. I even tried to do a hairdo like her. Didn't quite make it, but I had a little fun. And I really, really, she was one of my all-time favorite actresses. So I jumped on this table topics when I saw that it was about her. I love Lucy Day. Back to you, Madam Table Topics, Madam Toastmaster, sorry.
Thank you, Sunny, so much for those questions. Those are really good questions. I grew up watching reruns of Lucy in black and white, which I thought was hilarious because I always yelled at my grandparents, I want to watch color TV, and they were like, no, honey, this is what we're watching.
Right.
So without any further ado, we're going to move on to our next section is our speech evaluations. So please welcome our first speech evaluator, Carol Prahinsky, who will be evaluating Ben's speech. Carol.
Hi, thank you. Ben, it's a pleasure to listen to you. I was so excited when I looked at your slides and saw no words. It made me very excited because I'm like, this guy knows how to use slides. That to me was the best part of your presentation. And you had a very good presentation, but that just made me just so happy. All right, now some areas to work on. I would suggest focusing in on trying to have a hero. I felt like your list was a lot of work. Even when you got to the child, I'm like, now I have to play games? That's work too. All right, yeah, I know. But I actually thought the gaming should be more creative. I wanted more creativity where when we're gaming, it's not as creative. So that's a side note, but let's go back to it. Your list felt like a lot of work to me. And so I wanted to create more of a story, and is where I was hoping to go. Something that resonates, that we reflect on, and that we feel positive about when we wake up tomorrow morning. And you did tell us to only focus on one thing and not to try all of them, which I do appreciate, but I felt overwhelmed. So anyway, another area to work on would be capitalization and lowercase. I know, I'm a professor, it shows. All right, so, and I'll give you specific feedback on the evaluation. Just to let you know, I mistakenly sent an evaluation before I had completed it, so I will be sending you a second evaluation, which will be completed. I thought you were covering a lot of information. So if I was making a suggestion, I'd say narrow the selection of content. You had 3 key points, and one of those key points had 5 sub-points, and another key point had like 3 or 4 sub-points. It was a lot of material. So try to focus in on three key points like you did, but focus in even stronger to make that key point like pretty much all that there is, and hone in on that point instead of adding a couple extra sub points. That's my guidance to you, Ben. I look forward to many more speeches from you. Can't wait because I see the skill set that you have. I'm excited for it. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster Rachel. Yay!
Thank you, Carol. Our second evaluator this evening is Angela Smucker. Angela will be evaluating Graham. Angela?
Okay, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Graham, thank you so much for your presentation about the evolution of cruising. I enjoyed it very much, having been on a few cruises myself. And so for your presentation, I would say I liked all of it. I liked the photos and how you were showing the evolution. I enjoyed seeing the what the beginning looked like so long ago. I had no idea it started that long ago. I thought that you had good demarcation between the different sections of your content. I could, look at the different stages of what you were talking about and the different stages of the evolution. I had no problem with that. I also felt that you were very clear, and you used good vocal variety. So, we could tell, I could understand, issues, things that you were bringing up that you were excited about and that you wanted to emphasize for us. You were using hand gestures, which was great. You seemed like you were very comfortable and obviously very interested in the subject matter. And I think most of us probably are very interested in that subject matter. Whether we've cruised or not, it's a wonderful experience. I would say there was one little problem with sharing your screen, and there was a black rectangle, which I'm sure you know about that. So what would I suggest that you do differently? I would just ask you to look up once in a while at the audience while you're talking. But again, I like the content. I like the subject matter. The pictures were wonderful. And thank you.
Thank you so much for evaluation, Angela. Our third evaluator this evening is Jim Barber. Jim is evaluating David. Jim.
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters, and of course, especially Toastmaster David Carr. One of the great things about the Pathways program is the opportunity to evaluate the same presentation twice so that you can see if the person is actually listening, if they're actually doing an improvement, if they're applying the things that they heard. And I evaluated this same presentation several weeks ago, and this is my opportunity to evaluate it again. David, you were good the first time. You were great this time. It was outstanding. You were relaxed and confident before, but you were smooth tonight. You were more confident, more relaxed. You were in control. It was just great. Your slides are textbook. I wish everybody could see them because and study them, because you had a lot of visuals. There was a lot of interest there, a minimum of words, just the strong words that needed to be carried forward just to carry the idea forward. As always, you're conversational. You felt like you were talking with us. We felt like you were talking with us rather than talking to us. You have a light touch of humor, just as appropriate here and there, kept it interesting. I have told several people in the past with their evaluations not to close with thank you. And you did that tonight, and I wanted to make a point of pointing out that you did it correctly. You did it well. My problem with saying thank you is that it's a meaningless, polite gesture. You don't mean anything by saying thank you. You didn't do that. You said, thank you very much for this opportunity. That's not a perfunctory thank you. That is an expression of gratitude, and it worked well. It was a nice way to close your presentation. The only thing I could suggest is toward the beginning of your presentation, you said, talking about technology, which we've all had problems with it tonight. You said, I'm going to do my best today. And the only thing that is in the back of my mind is, when are you not going to do your best, David? So say that, but leave off the word today. I'm going to do my best. And that's a tiny, tiny little point, though. This was an excellent presentation, and congratulations. I was impressed. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jim. For our timer, did everybody qualify in evaluations?
We had Carol's evaluation at 2 minutes and 16 seconds qualified. Angela was a little shy at 1 minute 51 seconds. And Jim Barber's was 2 minutes and 37 seconds, also qualified.
Okay, so if you could send to Andy your vote for Carol or Jim. And while they're doing that, let's have some quick reports from our helpers who can share a few things that really stood out to them today. So if we can start with our grammarian, Lou.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, I know we're pressed for time, so just a couple of highlights. Rachel said, without further ado, and I think you said it twice. Awesome. Ben, win the morning, win the day. Awesome phrase. Graham, through all weathers. Maybe that's an Australian phrase that's not commonly used here in the States. I love it, though. Dave had layers of lawyers, which kind of made me think of some kind of cake, but colorful phrase. Deborah, see myself in the mirrors, had a good laugh. David B, wholeheartedly, and Jim, perfunctory, not a word you hear every day. Sonny used the word of the day, ew. Other folks did not, but there were opportunities. Ben could have said, you don't like the morning? Ew. Graham could have said, you don't like cruise ships? Ew. So a couple of examples. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that. Our watcher, Jimmy.
Okay, everybody looked pretty good today. At the beginning, Glenda did straighten out her camera so we can see her chin. That was good. One thing I did notice, though, is Carol and Glenda are both having their computer screen reflect off their glass surfaces. And I think you had that before, Carol. I don't have a, maybe do some experimenting with the height of the laptop or whatever you're using, something a little different angle. Don't know. There's other people wearing glasses. I'm not seeing the reflection of the screens in their glasses. Other than that, that's all I saw tonight. Back to you.
Wonderful. And our odd counter, David, don't count every single one that I had tonight because I had a lot. But you can count everybody else's.
Okay. I'd like to say, first of all, which applies to everyone I counted, everyone speaks so well that it isn't necessarily that you use it to pause, but sometimes you use words where the sentence would have been more powerful without it. So now we start. Rachel, I heard you say twice, but once, so twice. Ben, speaker, so 3 times, but 4 times, and twice, and you know. Graham, well, once, but 4 times. Now over time. That phrase is funny. Now is now, and over time is over time. I think you didn't need the now. Well, I don't know. I didn't think you needed the well. David F. Carr. I'm sorry. So 3 times, but once, and 6 times. Not saying that the ands weren't proper or correct, just that it might have been better without it. Sunny, so once. Deborah, don't have anything for you. Angela, well, once, and so twice. Speech evaluators, Carol, but twice, once, so once. Angela, 3 times, and once. I thought, double clutch on that. Jim, and once. You had, that's a double clutch. That's all I have. And I remember Lucy was born in Jamestown, I think New York. I used to drive past that town.
Thank you so much for your report this evening. And Lois, if you want to give us your overall general evaluation for the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I'll make it quick since we are over time. We started a little bit late. We were challenged with technology today. Rachel, I love that you said that we have friends to help me. I had not heard that before. It was very nice. I also like that you asked everyone to be quick because we were behind schedule. Great theme. Thank you, Lou, for our ew word of the day. That was fun. David, I also wanted to mention that you had said, I'm sorry if, and I've always heard that you never say I'm sorry about something. That's actually a state. I had a class in this recently, this past week. When you say I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm sorry, it means you're a state versus an actual scenario. And I thought that it was a great meeting, and we'll be ending just a couple of minutes late. Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Wonderful. I believe that Andy posted the winners this evening. So it looks like for best speaker, we had Ben. Table topics, we had Angela. And evaluator, we had Jim. So congratulations to all of them. Everyone did so great tonight. And thank you, everybody, for all of your hard work. And you all are friends, right? So I always tell my Toastmasters Club, I have friends all around the world because I do. So that is it for me this evening. If I pass it back to Jim Dent for any closing remarks. Thank you.
I've got no closing remarks tonight unless anybody else has anything they want to say. Lois?
I do, Jim. We need a Toastmaster of the Day for next week.
Okay.
Do we
Any
have any
volunteers?
Okay.
We'll find one.
I'll step up. I haven't done it in a while. I'll step up for that.
Okay.
I can't remember what I'm doing.
Anybody else have any comments?
I just wanted to mention a quick note to Glenda, since you're online. I tried to send this to you in the chat, but I don't think we ever got your application paperwork. We got your money. We don't have your paperwork. So we need that to get you formally into the club. So that's one reason we haven't followed up with you on everything. So if you go to the join page on our website, it's a PDF you can download. You can email it over to us. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. Well, I was chat monitor tonight, and I'll just zip through it because we slid around, and I don't know if it really matters, but we did have a little bit of a discussion about I Love Lucy, the Vegemite diet. It started out with just two mentions on there. Paul Allen passed away at 65, and there was naturally a discussion about the black box on Graham's pictures. And then the really funny story on there tonight was Rachel's husband in the bathroom trying to keep the dog quiet during our meeting. So thank you, Rachel, to your husband for no barking, and it's been great.
All right.
I'm surprised you didn't see him walking behind me. I had to keep turning off my video because he was coming in here making faces.
Okay, one last thing I did have
always
was, does anybody want to volunteer to mentor Glenda? She talked about at the beginning of the meeting. Kind of mentor her to help her understand the online club, the different roles, and different ways to sign up on the website and so forth. So right now I'm asking for anybody who volunteers. If not, Lou?
Yep.
Sorry.
You'll volunteer?
Sure.
Great.
Hey, Lou.
All right.
Could you send me Glenda's email address, please?
Somebody have it, or Glenda want to post it privately to Lou?
Okay.
If you know how to do the chat or the comments, or
So I can set up a meeting. Thanks, Glenda.
I think she sent it in the very beginning of the, let me see if I can find it for you.
I gotta go, people. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Well, folks, I've got to